For decades, Manhattan has been the most unforgiving arena for ambition on the planet. Citizens barely had a chance, and immigrants were expected to only watch from the outside. Today, that narrative has been completely rewritten with a new wave of powerful Filipinas seizing empires and dominating boardrooms that once never welcomed them. We are counting down the top richest and most powerful Filipinas in Manhattan, with number 1 defying every prediction from Wall Street. Number 7. Monique Lhuillier, the Filipina who dressed Hollywood. This CEO's success story is one of the most unique in modern history. After all, almost no woman today builds a bridal business empire simply because she couldn't find the right dress she wanted for her wedding many years ago. But, as we'll see, that is exactly what this person did. Meet Monique Lhuillier, the woman who turned one unsatisfied shopping trip into one of the most powerful luxury brands in American fashion history. Born in Cebu to a jewelry magnate father and model mother, Monique arrived in the United States with a homemade taste in fashion and business. Wanting to improve her skills, she enrolled at the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising, where she sharpened her craft. She met her future husband, Tom Bugbee, along the way, and the week before their wedding would be the turning point of her life. With her wedding just a few days ahead, she searched far and wide for the right wedding dress, but couldn't find any variety that suited her tastes. Everyone she found looked the same. Unable to find one she liked, she made her own. The wedding dress was gorgeous, and everyone loved it. That dress became a business, and that business became a dynasty. The company behind this was launched with help from her husband, and it grew and expanded quickly with lots of input and sponsorships from Hollywood's finest and beyond. Monique Lhuillier designed Britney Spears' iconic gown, Beyoncé's most viral red carpet looks, and even the formal clothes worn by the females of the Obama family during formal events. Her showroom in Manhattan anchors her presence and experiences in the city, while her headquarters in Los Angeles has housed exclusive design studios where she and many others decide the next big trends of Hollywood's fashion industry. But those exploits were just the beginning. From that point on, Monique made a decision that would expand her reach far beyond wedding gowns and altars. She was going to take the entire luxury fashion industry by storm. From massive, ready-to-wear collections, accessories, fine jewelry, home decor, fragrances, tableware, and baby lines, her name was everywhere. With an aggressive marketing campaign, her brand quickly spread into nearly every corner of high-end living, with so many customers willing to engage with the Monique Lhuillier brand across their entire lives rather than just on one special day. Her company had now become a lifestyle, with the kind of marketing that made people want to feel like they're part of the brand. And yet, her success story doesn't stop there. You see, while Monique Lhuillier made lots of sales and profits from a wide range of investments, the real financial engine running underneath all of that was licensing. So she partnered with established companies to distribute products under her name, collecting a steady stream of royalties without manufacturing everything herself. These royalties were massive payments she received every time a licensed product sold, and income kept flowing consistently and at scale. The beauty category alone, fragrances and cosmetics with their notoriously high profit margins, opened her name to an entirely new audience while keeping the luxury positioning completely intact. Flagship stores, premium department stores, and global distribution channels carried her designs to elite clients across multiple continents. One dress became a lifestyle empire, and a lifestyle empire proved far more difficult to compete with than any single fashion label. Monique's personal fortune reaches over $50 million. Her showcases are always present in every season of New York Fashion Week, and her tastes never go out of style. And if you think all that is impressive, then brace yourself, because we're just getting started. Number 6. Sheila Marcelo, the caregiving industry tycoon. Some problems don't wait for a boardroom meeting to get solutions, and this rang true for the much younger CEO and visionary Sheila Marcelo. Born in Baguio and forged at Harvard with dual degrees in law and business, Sheila arrived in America's industry with a strong ambition in mind. Now this is where her story gets interesting. Unlike most ideas born out of a fairly lucky guess, hers came out of a personal need to care for her family even when she's absent. She couldn't find reliable help anywhere. But in just a few years, that unmet need grew into a billion-dollar business empire. This massive business was Care.com, a platform that allowed families of different kinds to find the right caregivers for all preferences. This platform turned odd caregiving jobs into formal occupations and digitized it in a way that was cheaper and more efficient than relying on word of mouth. Families now had ways of connecting with the right nannies and helpers at affordable costs. And from this need alone, the business grew rapidly. As we'll see, the business thrived on a genius network and payment system that was way ahead of its time. For one, Care.com operated as a two-sided marketplace, meaning both families and caregivers needed to be present for it to work, and every new user who joined made it more valuable for everyone who was already on it. That dynamic formed a network effect that made the platform harder to compete with the larger it grows. Secondly, Sheila also made a decision early on to build recurring subscriptions into the model. This means that families could pay for premium access that performed background checks and gave better matches on a repeating basis rather than one transaction at a time. This way, massive income arrived predictably every month without having to reacquire the same customer. This model was exactly what institutional investors looked for before writing large checks, and thanks to that, many leading figures in finance were more willing to throw in millions of cash into making her dreams work. From that point, Care.com expanded well beyond childcare into senior care, pet care, tutoring, and housekeeping. After that came a steady stream of corporate partnerships from the founders of Google, Facebook, and Starbucks. All of them signed on to provide Care.com's services as exclusive benefits for long-term employees of their companies, while venture capital investors poured over $100 million into the company. With all the resources she needed, Sheila was able to scale aggressively and outpace competitors before they could organize a response. In less than a decade, Care.com not only grew but expanded, spreading across over 20 countries with millions of members, clients, supporters, and customers. The big day came in 2014, when Care.com rang the opening bell at the New York Stock Exchange. The company was sold to IAC for over $500 million, and Sheila went on to operate as a venture capital investor in Manhattan, New York. Most of her capital goes into the next wave of education technology and legislative investments aimed at improving paid family leave and advocacy. Her personal fortune is worth over $110 million, with a string portfolio showing all she's capable of. And it all started decades ago from a home in Manhattan. Yet, the next is even more profound. Number 5. Wan Ling Martello, the expansive company builder. While many executives run billion-dollar companies, Wan Ling Martello owns the systems that keep them working. She was born in Manila and forged by two of the world's lost elite institutions, Wharton and INSEAD. And after pouring input into multiple successful businesses with lavish results, she entered global finance as a strategist. Wan knew what she wanted, and her passions were simple: find and grow the most struggling businesses with strongest potential and make billion-dollar empires out of them. Before setting her sights on Manhattan, she ran Walmart Asia, overseeing all transactions across the entire continent before stepping into the CFO position at Nestlé. Just like that, she chaired the largest food companies on the planet from 2017 to 2020, controlling how capital moved across dozens of markets across the world. After bringing her vision to reality, she moved over to New York and made a move that shocked the world. From a small office in Manhattan, she and a few other business partners founded Baypine, a private equity firm with another head office in London, having over $15 billion in assets today. The private equity at this level carries a heavy level of interest and shares of profit that no longer depends on performance at any level. From that point, her wealth steadily increased, growing from charges taken from every acquisition, transaction, and exit from all positions at leading companies like Alibaba, Stellantis, and UBS. Keep in mind that these are three of the leading companies with the highest stakes across tech, automotive, and banking. With each carrying six-figure retainers and substantial stock grants, Wan Ling had a cut in all their profits, regardless of performance on her part. Here is how compensation worked throughout her career, and it was nothing short of incredible. At Nestlé, for example, performance bonuses were tied directly to cost reductions, margin improvements, and cash flow targets across entire regions. Even a fraction of a percentage point improvement across a multi-billion-dollar operation translated into millions in personal payout. But Wan Ling not only got unconditional benefits from that, but also received equity-linked compensation with stock grants that grew in value as company performance improved. When she moved into private equity with Baypine, the income structure changed completely. Management fees run at around 2% of total assets under management, meaning 2% of every billion in the fund arrives as revenue before a single deal closes. The accumulated wealth enters another level when we talk about carried interest, as every successful exit produced a payout calculated against the full upside of the deal. Add board retainers and stock awards from Alibaba, Stellantis, and UBS to the mix, and her income became a system running across multiple streams simultaneously. Now having a very strong hold on global finance and trade, Fortune named her one of the world's most powerful women with a total revealed wealth of over $120 million. But that doesn't come close to what we're about to show you. Number 4. Lilia Clemente, the woman who taught Wall Street. This story goes all the way back to 1976, a year when Wall Street was still skeptical about Asia because of the current stressful economic situation and Cold War tensions lingering after the Second World War. At a time when the US and Asia viewed each other as potential threats, one Filipina saw helpful financial opportunities for both sides. With a big dream and a strong ambition, the younger Lilia Clemente arrived at Manhattan with a thesis on how to start trade connections that would be helpful for both America and Asia. This was a huge deal back then for multiple reasons. First off, single-handedly building a cross-border banking company as the first of its kind in the middle of political tensions was like begging for financial failure. Secondly, managing such a company as a woman was rare. No one on Wall Street believed this would work by any stretch of imagination. But despite these hurdles, Lilia Clemente arrived in Manhattan and founded her company. The name was Clemente Capital, and it grew to manage over $1 billion in assets under her management. Many from Wall Street admitted they were wrong and championed her much later as a leading market architect. Now here is what separates her wealth from the flashier fortunes on this list. Lilia, unlike the others, did not build through exits or IPO windfalls, but took the hard road of long-horizon holdings, slow capital deployments, and steady accumulation over decades rather than quarters. And the result of this difficult choice wasn't high stocks liable to fall the moment investors lose patience, but steadily increasing generational wealth. Thanks to that choice made over 50 years ago, her personal fortune today is estimated to be at least $500 million. She saw real commercial opportunities that would be helpful to everyone, while others only saw the rising tensions and risks of a third world war. She took the risk, and it paid off very well. And just like that, without holding a class, she mentored an entire generation of future Wall Street executives who manage trillions in cross-border capital today. She's known by many today as the Wonder Woman of Wall Street. Others called her a cultural bridge. Both descriptions fall short of what she achieved, yet what comes next completely blows that out of the water. Number 3. Elizabeth and Teresita Sy, the Mall Queens. While some wealthy families build fortunes in boardrooms, the Sy clan built theirs in the aisles and turned a then-silly retail dream into a $28 billion dynasty that changed the entire country's future on an economic level. Just like that, SM Group started from a single shoe store in Manila into the biggest retail and real estate conglomerate in Philippine history. Today, that group runs over 70 hypermarkets serving millions of customers, and its powerful influence has stretched all the way to Wall Street. And here comes the strange part. New York's institutional investors and asset managers track the Sy portfolio as one of the most consequential private fortunes in all of Southeast Asia. When SM Group subsidiaries pursued international capital raises and cross-border financing arrangements, it was New York's financial district that sat across the table. Fund managers specializing in emerging market equities held BDO Unibank and SM Prime Holdings as flagship positions in their Philippine exposure, meaning Elizabeth Sy's decisions in Manila directly moved Filipino capital to New York. BDO maintained correspondent banking relationships with major American financial institutions, creating a direct line between the Sy empire and the nerve center of global finance. SM Prime Holdings developed and managed some of the largest commercial real estate assets in Southeast Asia. BDO Unibank managed approximately $50 billion in assets and ranked among the largest banks in the Philippines. Elizabeth Sy held a significant equity stake in BDO, meaning she owned a slice of the bank itself, so every loan, every deposit, and every transaction that moved through it was an asset she rightfully had a claim on. And then, there was the much greater wealth of her sister Teresita. While Elizabeth operated in the background, Teresita Sy stepped into the foreground and carried the entire weight of the Sy dynasty on her balance sheet. With even bigger investments across multiple businesses in New York City, Forbes named her the richest Filipina in 2024, with a personal fortune of $13.1 billion. Teresita took direct control of SM Prime Holdings and grew it into a network of over 60 shopping malls across the country. These malls became the centers of gravity around which entire cities organized themselves. Hundreds of thousands showed up to work in those malls every single day, with the employee count crossing 100,000 and continuing to climb. That kind of job creation gave Teresita an economic influence that no government appointment could match. So it was no surprise when Wall Street investigated the moment her eyes were set on making heavy investments in Manhattan's leading retail and real estate businesses. Our next CEO, however, took a different approach. Number 2. Josie Natori, the banker who chose fashion. From corner office, a vice president title at Merrill Lynch, and a career trajectory that most people spend entire lifetimes chasing, Josie Natori had everything. To put it frankly, Josie Natori had one of the most enviable careers in New York City finance. Her feats are nothing short of breathtaking. She was one of Merrill Lynch's youngest female vice presidents in investment banking. This was a huge deal. As to put it simply, this role alone made her one of the few powerful people in the room deciding how billions of dollars moved around the world. Many fans believed she worked hard for that seat and earned every privilege that came with it. Yet she suddenly decided she didn't want it anymore. In 1977, she walked into a buyer meeting at Bloomingdale's with a single embroidered blouse from the Philippines. The buyer looked at it and suggested she turn it into a nightshirt. Josie heard that and made a decision no one saw coming, leaving Wall Street entirely and launching the Natori Company out of Manhattan. Just like that, one of the sharpest financial minds in New York City became a fashion entrepreneur, and the industry had absolutely no idea what was about to hit it. Josie deliberately kept the Natori Company private. On top of that, she had no intention of answering to outside shareholders, with no one putting pressure on possible ways of cutting corners or chasing short-term trends. She owned the vision completely, and from that point she expanded into over 50 countries and started licensing her designs through major retailers, including Neiman Marcus. This meant other companies paid to use her brand and designs, so she was collecting royalty checks, money that came in consistently without her having to produce a new collection every single time. Those royalties stacked up alongside her core sales until her annual revenue crossed $250 million, and her personal fortune climbed above $150 million. Thanks to her unique ambition, her company has been able to employ over 300 people in the city, with her products showing at New York Fashion Week every season. She has sat on the board of the Fashion Institute of Technology and also served as a trustee of the Asia Society. Thanks to her efforts, Filipino and Asian culture moved into rooms where it had never been centered before. Because of her, leading Western celebrities like Oprah Winfrey wear her Filipino-inspired designs, as well as the royal families within and beyond the UK. Her influence grew so much that in 2021 the Philippine government put her face on a postage stamp. Josie Natori walked away from Wall Street with everything she had learned there, turning an unwanted blouse into a global empire worth $150 million. Yet the next person makes all that seem like nothing. Number 1. Loida Nicolas-Lewis, the widow. Everyone underestimated. When the famous business tycoon Reginald Lewis passed away back in January 1993, everyone had very strong predictions for his company and massive fortunes set long before the funeral was over. The prediction was quite simple. After the dust settles, the widow left behind would sell the company, and all the business assets would be given to the highest bidder. And just like that, the first black-owned conglomerate in American history would quietly disappear. But what happened next was unexpected. Born in the Philippines with a strong and ambitious spirit, Loida decided early that she was going to master every system she entered. Her early life showed her willingness to break all protocols that came in the way of her dreams. Defying all expectations, she earned her law degree from Harvard in 1969, which was already shocking enough on its own for a Filipina immigrant in that era. Then she defied expectations yet again by becoming the first Filipino-American woman to make partners at a major New York law firm. So when her husband died and left her in charge of TLC Beatrice International, a food company operating across multiple continents, she made a decision that genuinely stunned the business world. She wasn't going to sell the company her husband spent many years taking off the ground. Loida was going to honor his memory by growing it into something much greater. But here's the thing most people miss. TLC Beatrice was already a massive operation with a strong portfolio and massive influence in the food industry. However, it was also under enormous pressure, with Wall Street analysts openly predicting it would collapse without her late husband calling the shots. They underestimated her completely, and as we'll see, that turned out to be a big mistake. Loida Nicolas-Lewis used everything she had learned as a corporate lawyer, from her understanding of contracts, liability, and leverage to make things work. Using old favors, debt, and assets as tools to get the needed resources and investments from bigger companies her late husband worked with. Just like that, the grieving widow that Wall Street had written off grew TLC Beatrice into a $2 billion empire. Then, as if she had made her point known to the world, when she decided the time was right, she sold off all parts of the company's assets. Many saw this as a bad idea the moment news broke out, except she pulled it off so well that her personal fortune climbed above $600 million. Loida would go on to build her home on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, establish a real estate portfolio across the city, speak at multiple UN summits, and chair the National Asian Pacific American Bar Association. She donated over $100 million to education, the arts, and community programs across New York. She funded scholarships at NYU and Coney and supported historically black colleges and universities. Then she sealed it off by writing her book, Why Should Guys Have All the Fun? That quickly became a bestseller. Which of these women stood out the most to you? Is there anyone we failed to mention? Please share your thoughts in the comments down below. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Now click on the next video shown on your screen. You will enjoy it.